Well, good afternoon. I am so excited to share this with you today. This is definitely my favorite of our seminars. Welcome. It's great to have each of you here today, and I hope you're going to find this really valuable because literally the purpose to staging is not about making work, it's about making money. And we have a real live example today on the market that is going to sell because it was staged. I'll tell you that story in a minute. But in the meantime, I want to get started and just introduce myself or reintroduce myself. My name is Sharon Parento. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams. And in starting my career in real estate, I realized that people have the same questions everywhere. And if I could provide answers to those questions that were meaningful, helpful, and acting more like a consultant than a real estate salesperson, then that would really be the kind of business model that I enjoyed. So rather than about transactions and numbers and all that, it's about relationship. And I love coming from contribution. I love helping people who feel like they're stuck, get unstuck. And I guess this goes back to my years as an educator. I was a high school English teacher, and then I was a grade 6 homeroom teacher. So just feeling like I'm helping makes me very, very happy. So I appreciate you being here today. And when we started doing these, of course, they were all in person, and we've had to shift everything to being online. That's been a great experience for us. And I love the fact that we're always learning about things. I am in York Region, Toronto area. So anyways, we will get started now. We've done the first part of this and identifying that staging is an essential component to the overall marketing of a property, because we're only as good as the photos we can capture, and the photos can only be as good as the property we're listing. So when we take properties, we have to think, how are we going to present them online in terms of the MLS pictures, video, printed material. Now with COVID, we've stepped away from doing the expensive glossy feature sheets that we usually do. We just don't want people touching things in the house, including the feature sheets. But the point still holds. We are going to show pictures of the property in a variety of formats, and we want to make sure that we are emphasizing the positive features and minimizing the negative features. So when this house, 160 Center Street West, was listed originally with another agent, it just was overwhelmingly pine. And not that that is necessarily a total negative, but it doesn't appeal to the broadest section of the buying population. When you think of it, there's only a tiny percentage of people who are looking at properties that might be interested in yours. It's going to be the right price, the right neighborhood, the right size, and then it has to kind of fit their aesthetic criteria. So we can have people looking online who never come and see your property just because of that last component, that it just doesn't ring their bell. We want to make sure that we get that wow factor that motivates them up and out of their warm, cozy homes and in to come see yours, because then they can connect with it. If they never actually go see it, they're never going to buy it, right? Okay. So we want to show how this happens. We know statistically, we have proof that staging your home increases the value. Not only does it get you from no sale to sale, but even within the category of sale, we know that it can boost your sale value by as little as 1 or 2% and as much as maybe 5 to 8%. And on $1 million listing, that's literally the difference of $50,000 to $80,000 at the upper end of that, right? So again, we want to talk about the goals of staging. This is the before in that property. The entire room was cut off by this huge tapestry kind of brocade sofa that literally bifurcated the room into two sections. And this sofa was the longest sofa I think I've ever seen. It was like a 5-seater sofa. And it just really didn't do the space justice. So all we see is this oak and pine and pine and oak, and young buyers today go, yeah, no thanks, too much work. Ta-da! See what we did? We actually extended your eye line out to the backyard. This backyard was 217 feet deep. The whole lot was 217 feet deep. And now all of a sudden we are seeing that room as an extension of the overall living space. It was open space, and that's what young buyers are looking for. So not surprisingly, the picture on the left with another agent did not sell. The picture on the right with us did sell. Okay, so it's not just a matter of increasing the lightness and brightness, but it's also about giving the sense of spaciousness, because you got to think, this is what buyers are looking for. They are looking for the biggest bang for the buck, like everybody else is, the best value. So if we take your home from being kind of closed in, dark, old-fashioned, this is another listing that we picked up. It had been listed with the next door neighbor who was an agent from a different brokerage. So these people had listed with their friend, they felt an obligation, but at the end of the day, they couldn't get the job done. And that's really a tricky situation. I'm all for family loyalty and friends and that, but in this case, look how kind of antiquated this room looks. And this is going to be an important lesson when we get into some very specific to-dos and not to-dos. So first of all, we brought it up to date. It just looks so much more spacious without the crowding of the furniture, kind of closing the space in. And we don't want that black TV as the focal point. We want, like, again, the window. So it's really the art and science of staging and then making sure we have a really good photographer. The house that we have listed for sale today, and tonight is offer night. They had it listed before with another agent, didn't sell, and the photographs were terrible. A good real estate photographer is hard to find, and I've cycled through several of them until I came up with the one that I thought really did a good job in capturing the space from the correct angle to show it in its best light. Okay, so it's a partnership between homeowner and realtor for sure, and it's a partnership between realtor and stager, and also realtor and photographer. So we all work towards the same goal. And when the plan works out, we get multiple offers, high sale prices, and everybody goes away very happy, except maybe the buyer. Okay, so here's an example. Sorry, poor kind of grainy photograph, but this was a very small townhouse. And it had a big black sectional sofa that we took out and just staged it with the 2 armchairs, but kept the work area, and moved the furniture around. There was a massive bookshelf against the wall. It was just so dark and cramped that you literally had to shimmy between the sofa and the wall to get through. And we never want that. We always want people and their agents and their kids and their grandparents, everybody to move with ease through this spot and bring it to be as spacious as possible. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Okay, there we go. So here's an example of what not to do. We have sofas in front of the windows. We have heavy swag curtains. We have everything about this property. This is just one representative sample of a picture of a townhouse across the street, not from this one, not the one on the left, but another one, identical. And we achieved a much higher sale price in a shorter time because we staged ours. And what would I do to this room? Number one, I'd take down the heavy swag on the top. Even though it's only maybe 18 inches, it really impinges on the amount of light. I would pull back the drapes and open them up so that we can see out to these gorgeous gardens. It had the most beautiful perennial gardens. And I would take away one of the sofas for sure, probably the cream colored one. And even better, I would take away the love seat and put 2 armchairs, just again, because when you scale down the size of the furniture, the rest of the room looks bigger in proportion. So when we scaled down the one on the left, we got rid of the huge oversized black leather sectional that was actually way too big for the room. And we put in these 2 petite club chairs essentially, and it just makes the whole space look bigger. So if you've got oversized furniture and too much of it, it pulls everything in. Okay. So we talked about the flow. We don't want to have to shimmy past rooms in order to get to the big, the traffic flow has to be able to move around spaces easily in order to really feel like it's a comfortable, livable space. So this again goes to, do not put anything in front of your patio doors if they are an access to a deck. You never want to block any kind of doorway. In the property that we have listed today, they had a piano against a wall that kind of obstructed the patio doors. It opened, but it just kind of, so we moved that onto a different wall. So there was absolutely no blocking of any of the light or any of the access points. So really think of your front hall too. I don't know why front halls end up having a whole bunch of little small pieces all around, but umbrella jars and benches to sit and all of this kind of stuff ends up somehow coming into the front hall. So we don't want people, when they come into your house, into that foyer, that landing pad, we don't want them to have a struggle to open the door or be able to take off their shoes. Just open and expansive. Okay, that is really what the aim is. I know your house is going to look a little naked by the time you finish, because one of the things we definitely do is we take the art off the walls. All of the art on your walls, we're probably going to take down and pack up for you. Why? Why the art? Because it blocks the eye line. It really impinges on our appreciation of the spaciousness. Same thing with area rugs. I really don't like area rugs. So most of the time we take those up, and those little rugs in the bathroom and the kitchen and all of that. So I showed you this last time, but for those of you who may have missed our webinar last time, this was how that property was being listed before. This was obviously their office. It's clean, it's tidy, whatever, not an issue. But most of the time, office furniture is ugly. And if we are selling a 4-bedroom house, we want it to show like a 4-bedroom house, if at all possible. Most of the time, we will pull in like a fake bed, and that's what we did here. So this is literally an air mattress on orange crates. Then we drape a king size sheet over it and fluff it up. You notice there's no headboard. You couldn't sit on this. I think you'd go right through it, but it does the trick in reestablishing this as a bedroom. So that's super, super important. We make sure that everything is telling us, without having to guess, what's the function. And now I've seen this done super well on certain listings. I'm going to show you an example. I was really, really happy with how our stager, that middle picture there, this is a condo that had this kind of dead space. And in condo land, this was the +1. If you know what I'm talking about, the listings will say 2+1. So this was a 2-bedroom, and this was the +1. It was like a 8x6 kind of area space. It was really nondescript. It was really just like an oversized hallway. But our stager created this little work from home space that really made sense. And if we hadn't had that there to suggest it, it would have been pretty difficult for buyers to see the potential use of that space. And every inch counts in a condo. So we really want to show those to the best, right? So we want to not leave it up to people's imagination, but really tell them this is what that space can be used for. Same thing with the finished basement there. Like, we are setting the scene for a movie night, games night. I don't know if you can tell, but on that table is a board game spread out. Again, this is not just a finished basement. This is a family room. And as such, it has value. When we are evaluating properties that have a finished basement, I typically price them $50,000 to $75,000 higher than those that don't have. So when a buyer looks at this online and looks at the price and says, why is this price higher than the one down the street? We want to show them this is usable space and it's really valuable. Now, the picture on the left was an empty bedroom just being used for storing exercise equipment. And, you know, it just was the kind of dumping ground. And we staged this back to being a 3-bedroom house by reclaiming that bedroom. So if this is another air mattress on milk carts, in case you're wondering. And I think I told the story last time that virtually all of the accessories in this room, I pirated from my youngest daughter's bedrooms. She came home from work, from school, and I had taken all the accessories to my new listing. So anyways, she wasn't too happy, but it was only a temporary thing. And we really needed to show this house as a 3-bedroom, not as a 2-bedroom plus an office. Can you see how that would really diminish the valuation in the buyer's eyes, right? We want 3 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms it is. Okay, so thank you, winners. I love winners. Okay, so again, this is about creating the feeling. We already know that your clients have chosen, your buyer clients have chosen your house because it's in the right neighborhood, the right price point. All of that left brain analytical thinking has been done. And now we want them to really fall in love with it. And this is what staging can do. I'm just going to play this for you again. It's very short, but it tells you to think like a buyer. Okay, tiny little clip there. But it was Grandma's Cozy Cottage, and we turned it into a beach themed area because we had baby pink walls to work with and burgundy floral couch and stuff. So by just accessorizing, leaving the same basic furnishings in place, we were really able to modernize it, and we got a great result. We got over asking, multiple offers, and this was an 80-year-old woman who was going right into a retirement community. So every penny counted, and I felt so good about that outcome for her, knowing that she didn't have to worry about outliving her money. I know that's kind of a harsh way of saying it, but that was her concern. Oh, I just played it again by accident, sorry. Okay, let's go on to the next. I wish I had kept that bowl. I love that bowl. Okay, moving on. This is the bread and butter of today's presentation. All of that was just to refresh, put you in the right mindset that you got to start thinking like a buyer. But here are really specific things you can do. And don't worry, we will be sending this out to you, okay? So you can take notes if you want. Oh, and this is a wonderful place to think of questions, okay? Because we're gonna go through room by room, and I'm gonna give you my top suggestions that are gonna help you when it comes time to sell your house for more money and more quickly. That's really the name of the game, right? Okay, so let's have a look. The kitchen. Okay, so we're gonna hear some themes. None of this is rocket science. But we want virtually everything put away. And I know that's not the way we live. We live with the mix master, the coffee maker, the toaster oven, and the can opener. But really, what we want to see is unbroken lines. And of course, it goes without saying to be squeaky clean. This is something you might not think would be a turnoff, but it is. the fronts of your cabinets, they can collect little splashes and little fingerprints and greasy marks. Wash down the front of your cabinets, because when we photograph from an angle, if there's any kind of smudge on them, it really shows up. Same thing with your stainless steel appliances. Make sure that everything is squeaky clean. We are going to be photographing from down low, and those bottom cabinets really show up. And if you have chips on the edge, it's really a great idea to take some scratch cover and cover up those scratches. I know, like, we kick the bottom of the cabinet sometimes, and there's scuffs and chips out of the bottom. Just, that's a really great idea. Okay, so we're going to take down the kitchen curtains. Do you have kitchen curtains? They really block out a lot of light. And unless you have a super big privacy issue, or you're planning to fry bacon in your pajamas, get rid of those kitchen curtains, because they don't do anything except block out the light. And I don't think anybody needs to have a tea towel on the handlebar of the stove. It really just is like where your eye is drawn to it. So the little kitchen slice and all of the knickknacks and the stuff, just super, super minimal, okay? So I tell my clients they're allowed to keep 1 or maybe 2 appliances on the countertop. If it's like a microwave and they use the coffee maker every single day, then keep that out, but everything else needs to find a home, because it really just looks like clutter, okay? So that's the kitchen. Any questions about the kitchen? So it goes without saying, we're going to deep clean. We're going to make sure everything is really, really squeaky clean, because dirty kitchens are gross, and we don't want to make anybody feel sick. Now, bathrooms. This is really funny. We don't want to be reminded about bodily functions in the bathroom. Can I just say that? So when we are photographing the property, or when it's listed, I really would like my clients to take all the shampoo, conditioner, and put it in a basket under the sink. Put away the toothbrush, the hairbrush, you know, the Q-tips, everything. Any of the toiletries, we tuck in a basket under the sink. Just again, because we don't want to be, like, this is a very intimate space, and we don't want to feel like we're intruding. I also put away the scrub brush and usually the garbage can. And I never have a bath mat on the floor, because it cuts up the space. If you have a patterned shower curtain, I am going to humbly suggest that it needs to come down so that it's not the focal point. We always just use plain white shower curtains and plain white fluffy spa-like towels in the bathroom. So patterned towels, patterned shower curtains are, they're a no-no. And if you can update the lighting fixture, that's a great inexpensive way to just totally update the bathroom. Okay, we did talk also in our renovations webinar about painting the cabinets, and that goes for the kitchen and the bathroom. It can be a really instant pop of contemporary update, and not expensive. It fools a lot of potential buyers, let's just say that. Okay, so the master bedroom, this is kind of a marketing trope, but when we are listing your master bedroom, we always say, first of all, I got to change this. We don't call it the master bedroom anymore, because that's not inclusive language. We call it the primary bedroom, okay? And then the smaller ones are the secondary bedrooms. But the primary bedroom is supposed to be like a retreat. This is where that harried, busy, overworked couple is going to go to get away from their darn kids. So we don't want it to be an office. We don't want it to be a workout room. We don't want any of that stuff in the principal bedroom. So this is a big deal. This is why I loved unfinished basements or garages. So this is where we're going to put that stuff. And again, we're going to get rid of the patterned bedspread. We already saw what that does. It just draws your eye. White, bright light. We almost want the bed to kind of disappear in the pictures, have no visual weight. And then we are also going to take the bed, and instead of it being along one of the side walls that you can't really see from the door frame, ideally, we want to look at the foot of the bed from the doorway. It just photographs so much better. And just when we are looking at the side of the bed, it just is not an attractive picture point. Okay, so if you have a big screen TV in your bedroom and you can live with it, live without it for the couple of weeks it's going to take to sell your property, I'd love to get rid of that TV too. Just again, we saw the black TV is such a visually dominant focal point, and usually it's pretty ugly. So if we can get rid of the TV from the primary bedroom, the principal bedroom, we really like to do that and just keep it to the original function, which is a place to sleep. All bedrooms kind of fit into this basic rule that we would like as neutral bed coverings as possible. We will bring back some color. We saw in that red and white room that we bring back the pop of color in coordination with our overall marketing plan for the property. Sometimes it's, you know, blue and turquoise and white. Sometimes it's, we saw it was the red and gold and cream. Like, we already have a color theme in mind. We really want to make sure that the bedrooms are as neutral as possible. And of course, all the surface is cleared. What we've been taking to lately also is removing one of the dressers. It usually helps with the flow and the spaciousness quite a bit. So in the last couple of properties we have staged, we ended up taking out one of the dressers. Usually in the old bedroom sets, there would be like a low 6-drawer dresser, and then there would be like a tall boy, right? So one of the two we often shift out of the room. So just something to consider. If you don't need it, if you don't need that other piece of furniture, then it's a great place to start minimizing. Okay, the dining room. Dining rooms are usually part of like the main floor layout, and it's really, really important. Living room, dining room, kitchen, they really sell homes. If there are some problems with a bedroom, it's like a little self-contained unit, and people will say, okay, it's not such a big deal. But if we can create that wow, that pop of interest in the dining room, usually it's a very heavy editing. So that starts with the china cabinet. If you've got collectibles, we like to pare those down to 50 to 70%. My stager says to me, the general rule is 3 things on a shelf. Not 5 things, 3 things. And we always want to work in odd numbers anyways. But so that means in the case of the property that we just sold up in Aurora, we actually took the china cabinet off the hutch, and we used that nice low hutch, hung a mirror over it, and then had just decor items on either side. So the entire hutch went off, and we packed up all the china for the client and made sure that everything was safe and sound. And the other thing I love to do is to add in that mirror. That mirror really helps to reflect the amount of natural light. And most of the time, my clients' art, like I said, almost all of it comes off the wall. Actually, let's just say all of it comes down, and then we may select to use some of the items. So if you're getting ready to paint your house, for example, because that's always one of the things we like to suggest, if your home is dark or it's been a while since you've done any big redecoration, you're planning to paint it out in a neutral color, don't hang anything back up. The likelihood is we're going to use something a little more contemporary, and so it helps in the end. Okay, so take the leaf out of the table and compress it down. And if you have 6 or 8 chairs, lots of times we just pare it down to 4 chairs. Again, so people can walk around the table and not be bumping into chairs. Okay, so that's a big help to us. The other thing is about area rugs. We talked about area rugs in the previous seminar last week. They really break up your eye line. So lots of times, again, we roll up the dining room rugs, especially if there is beautiful hardwood underneath. The clients want to see the hardwood. They don't want their eye drawn to your area rug, even if it's a beautiful area rug. And if we do bring in area rugs, they're very neutral, no pattern. Okay, questions so far? Anybody have a question they'd like to ask? Okay, so dining rooms, they are a really easy do-it-yourself project. Basically, take it all down and put it all away and put up a mirror. There you go. There's the cheap seats advice. Okay, front entrance. I did hint at this, but let's just reinforce the point that we would like as much open space as possible. And when we open up your cupboards, and buyers will be looking in your cupboards, make no doubt about it, we want to take out everything that is the other season. You know, in Canada, we tend to have 2 seasons, summer and winter. So the non-seasonal clothing should be packed up and put away, and pare down the front hall closet to the things that you're only using in that season. I love, even the dollar store now has cheap or inexpensive canvas type baskets that have a pattern on them. You can put up on the top shelf for the hats and gloves and things like that. And then again, take down the art. Many of you have a curved staircase in your front hall. This was a style. And lots of people have something in that alcove there, or even artwork. I really just say, take the artwork down. It chops up the wall. It doesn't photograph well. And a front hall mirror with a little vestibule table is so perfect, because agents are going to come in and leave their card. It's a nice welcoming, and it just, again, brings in that natural light. Okay, so I'm a big fan of mirrors for adding that spaciousness and lightness to the space. Okay, so front entrance, don't forget it. How many of you have a closed-in porch? Do any of you have a closed-in porch where, like, you've screened in the porch or glassed in the porch? Those, in my experience, are such a great idea. In practicality, they become a dumping ground for extra shoes and the recycling bins. So if you have a screened-in porch, it's a beautiful added value, and I would love to emphasize it. But if the first thing I do is open up the door and I smell your son's sneaker collection, it's a huge turnoff, as you can imagine. Plus, it's a little bit of a cramped space to get to your front door. So make sure, for sure, that that is empty. Okay, not even one lick of anything in there, except for maybe a nice brand new welcome mat on the outside of the house. Okay. Okay, so there's your little tongue lashing for today. I apologize, but you know, people spend thousands of dollars blasting in their front porch, and then it's terrible. It's such an eyesore. Okay, and this does come up to the exterior. I showed you some really specific examples last time about improving the curb appeal. Literally, I have been with clients who we pulled up, we saw the dilapidated state of the outside of the home, and didn't even bother to go in. It was just like, yeah, no. If this is what it looks like on the outside, I don't care how much staging has been done, it's still going to be poorly maintained on the inside. So here is another little spend for you, not huge, but if you have $1 million house and a rusty mailbox, change that. I don't care if you get a new mailbox or spray paint the old one. You're looking for something to do during shutdown, get going on the outside of your house on the nice days, making sure there's no cobwebs in the light fixtures, putting up new house numbers, all of that. And if you can, add some seasonal floral coloring of some sort. Like this time of year, of course, there's lots of beautiful urns out there for the holidays. Just something to make it warm and welcoming. And obviously, giving the impression that the house is well maintained. So if you've got side lights, you know, like the windows on the side of your front door, make sure those are clean. This is what we just did for this house that is going to be sold today, is we went in and just spent a whole bunch of time helping the elderly homeowners do things like wash around the windowsills and the light fixtures and just things like that, that were just small items, but over the course of the whole home, they added up to a very kind of dingy appearance. And we want to make sure that from the get-go, people are walking into something that looks good, smells good, and leaves them with a positive impression of the value of your home. That's the key. It's the value that we want to create. Now, the whole home, getting into that, is, again, the principles of light and bright. We want to take down the heavy swags and curtains and just leave up the sheers. We want to make sure that as much of the floor space and the wall space is empty, because it just makes the house look so much bigger. We want to make sure that we are taking out furniture that obstructs any access points to different rooms or to sliding doors, or if it's just too much. Especially, it seems that people have collections of occasional tables and occasional chairs, right? It's like, how many people are you expecting to come over? You got seating for 47 people in the living room. Just pare it down. So I would say that in general, our attitude is less is more. Really important stuff that you can do ahead of time. And when we are adding, if you have to buy something new for your home, like a new bedspread or shower curtain or towels, just keep them in the plain white palette, because it's really going to be such a boon to us when we come in and we bring in our 47 throw cushions for your principal bedroom, or, you know, the lush fake mink throw, you know, any of that kind of stuff. So you really want to keep it neutral, airy, light, and bright. And of course, decluttered. Like, that's where we start. It's interesting. Our webinars run from getting ready to downsize. The next thing is the decluttering battle plan. Then there are the best renos for return on investment. And then there is the staging secrets on a shoestring budget. That's our offering right now, because it is a sequential process. Really, staging is the very last thing you can do. And it's going to cost you some money to hire a professional. But I hope that with these tips and tricks for each room, that you can actually literally start room by room, planning what you're going to do, what you're going to take out, if there's anything that you want to purchase or update. And then when the time comes, you still might need a bit of a fluff and puff, as I like to call it. But you probably won't need the whole big staging rigmarole, which is going to save you a lot of money on the staging bill and make you a lot of money when it's time to sell your house. Questions, comments? I'd love to hear what you think about these practical applications. We talked about this before. Now, these are things that really, in my books, complement the staging activity. Okay, so look at all this whizzing in here. Wow. Repainting the cabinets. If you have a critical eye view to your kitchen cabinets and you see that they are worn around where the cabinet hardware is, you know, the original finish has come off or they're chipped or whatever, amazing products now, especially for painting cabinets. Okay, so really think of that as an investment that will pay back. Same thing with the cabinet hardware. We were looking at a property the other day with young buyers. I was out with young buyers and they said to me, oh, well, you know, the kitchen is a little outdated. And I said, really? It's a white kitchen. You know what it was? They had white knobs on the kitchen, white round balls on the kitchen cupboards. If they had just swapped that out to brushed nickel, it wouldn't have appeared as dated. And so I pointed that out to the buyers, obviously. Oh, really? We'll just change the hardware. You'd be amazed how much that will update things. So if you can do that ahead of time, that's a really easy fix. Neutral switch plate covers. I remember we went into a house and I think she had a switch plate cover collection. We had Disney, we had butterflies, we had unicorns. It was a lot. So we had to just get plain white switch plate covers, especially if they're cracked or faded or yellowed or, you know, whatever. That's an easy thing to do. The front door. Now, most of the time, I really recommend a neutral color palette because, like I showed you, we're going to bring in our pop of color with the throw cushions and the coverlets and things like that. Our accessories will be color coordinated. But the front door is a great place to add a little bit of pop. You know, we have some very attractive colors that are right now trendy, like a beautiful rich blue, like I use here in my logo colors. You know, really any of these colors would be a great addition to a house because it just sets it apart, right? So don't do the garage door. Keep the garage door neutral and just paint out the front door. And another thing you can be working on, especially if they are the builder's original, is changing out the faucets. Somebody said, I don't know, maybe it was Martha Stewart, who said that faucets were the jewels of the kitchen. And you can really spend a bundle, holy moly. You can spend, you know, $600–700 on a faucet for a kitchen. I'm not suggesting that, but even a new low-end faucet is better than the builder's 30-year-old faucet. Make sense? Same thing with bathrooms. So all of this applies to kitchens and bathrooms. And then also want you to think about these things. Light fixtures. Okay. Okay, so the light fixtures is a good place to start. If you have a Tiffany style swag lamp in your kitchen, it's really not expensive to swap them out. I sometimes see good deals at Costco where they will sell you a bundle of flush mounted or semi flush mounted lights for the hallway, and then they all match. Or you can get a two-piece combo. One is the dining, one is the kitchen. So again, what I would do, this is how I would make it as cost effective as possible. I love the clearance section in Home Depot or Costco, but wait for the sales to happen in the new year and then gather them up as your budget allows, and then hire an electrician to come in and just do the whole whack of them if you can't do it yourself. I've hung up light fixtures and it's not difficult, but if you don't feel confident in it, you know, just get somebody to come in and do them all at once, including the outdoor one. Oh my goodness, that would make me so happy if you got rid of that rusted old coach lamp and put something new and swanky in it. So lots of people ask me about the bathtub. They have a blue bathtub. You know what? I don't actually think that's the worst thing in the world is to have one of those 1980s blue bathtubs or pink or whatever. It's about the condition. I don't care really what color it is, as long as it's in good condition. But if you have a bathtub that is cracked or peeling or just, you know, scratched up or whatever, they can do amazing things with reglazing. I know a company that does this. That's their entire business, is reglazing bathtubs, and it will change the color, it will restore the finish, and it's way cheaper than even, you know, those bath outfitter places that come in and install a one-piece bathroom. They're all basic level, and then you have to add on and add on and add on. And I just had a client do it in a bathroom, and it was $4,300 to do the bath installation for the bath refitting company. So reglazing is far less than that, and it can make a big difference. And just the acceptability of that bathroom. Okay, we talked about decluttering, and we have decluttering webinar because it's so important. I hope you will join us. We are going to be doing them again in December. Upgrading countertops. Okay, I say this with a word of caution. If your countertops are stained or chipped, or they have like a burn ring because, you know, your daughter put down the cracked dinner pot too hot, if it's anything like that is really a cosmetic blemish, you might consider swapping out for new laminate countertops. Would I suggest that you put in $8,000 of granite countertops? No, I would not. I would not, unless you were doing a whole total cosmetic makeover of your kitchen. So I say this with a bit of a caveat. Be careful. Don't overspend on the countertops. Because it's a hassle, and you have to figure out what you're going to do with the sink then, or, you know, are you going to put in the old sink into a new counter? Probably not. It can really spiral out of control cost wise. And then we talk about the neutral paint colors. I just heard somebody yesterday who was a color theorist saying that gray is on its way out. And I say hallelujah, because when I bought my first house here in Richmond Hill in 1991, the entire house was gray, and it just cycles between cool and warm, cool and warm. And we're gradually getting into a warmer palette again. So if your home has kind of wooden floors and wooden cabinets and a cream colored backsplash, you know, the gray was never your best choice anyways. But we tend to fall into two categories. We are either working in the off-whites, or we're working in the very light gray. The very light gray makes it look instantly contemporary, but you have to take into consideration the whole picture, okay? Exactly all of what you're working with. So I really do suggest these as some ways of enhancing the visual appeal of your home. Every one of these is going to pay you back in the two ways that count. A quicker sale, because you're going to have a greater acceptance by the buyers, and likely they're going to be more willing to put in an offer. Okay, so this whole webinar series has been about improving the value of your home and things you can do, the DIY, 12 to 24 months before you decide to sell your home. Most of the people who come into my sphere, it's 17 months between the time we first meet and the time they actually decide to sell their house. We know it's not a quick process. It's not like anybody wakes up and says, yeah, today's the day. It's a kind of gradual turning it over in your mind. But one of the big factors in deciding to downsize is what your property's value can do to enhance your retirement. Like, you know, I'm sitting in this home that is building equity, right? But if I have more house than I need, this brick and mortar is not allowing me to do more interesting things in my life, right? I'm kind of tied to this edifice. And if you're ready to move on and enjoy more of retirement and not have to worry about the stress or the maintenance or the inconvenience of a 4-bedroom home, now that you're an empty nester, I really, really encourage you to join us for this brand new webinar we've developed with Leora Jagger, who is a Scotia Wealth Management Advisor. So smart, this woman. I went with her on a run through of our presentation yesterday, and I can hardly wait for you to hear the amazing things that your money could be doing for you. So there's no sales pitch, you know, there never is. She doesn't do it, I don't do it. It's just really coming from a position of advising you, giving you the information, answering your questions. It's really, really valuable information, okay? And we will be creating this for all of our clients available. It's available to all of our clients, but you get the first crack at it because you're here today. So this is another thing you can sign up for. It's our 30-day decluttering challenge. The middle part here is an example of what you can do to every day you get a task and a tip. It helps you with your getting ready to stage. We can't stage anything until the house has been decluttered. So this is a great self-motivational program. I hope you enjoy it. I think some of you may have already signed up for it. So I'd love to hear your feedback or if you're getting the emails. Oh, sorry, we went backwards in time. And then this is an example of the chart that you get, and it tells you every day some little 15 to 25-minute task that you can do and help you to be more accountable to yourself. And as we face a long winter ahead, this might be a great thing to get you motivated so that you're ready for the spring. And then, of course, we do condo tours, and we have a new one too, which I love. It's our townhouse tour. I love our townhouse tour because I think townhouses are a fantastic opportunity for most of my clients who are still active, don't have any mobility issues, but really just want to get out of the big house, but aren't quite ready for an apartment. So anyways, we do have the regular condo tour as well. I love doing these because helps me to learn about the market and make sure that I can get good, relevant information out to my buyer clients. Okay, any questions? We've got 9 minutes. I'm doing great on time. I hope you have found this inspirational, helpful. I'd love to answer your questions. Actually, questions are my favoriteest part. So let's get some questions going. You can unmute yourself and you can ask, or you can type them into the chat box. Now said, what city are you based in? Well, I'm in Richmond Hill, north of Toronto, but of course I'm licensed throughout the province of Ontario and belong to the Toronto Real Estate Board and the Niagara, Peterborough Real Estate Boards as well. A lot of my clients are moving out of town, so I wanted to join those other regional boards so that I could have access to listings and get market information. Questions? Oh, there's the rest of our webinars. I hope you'll come back and you can watch these at your own. Oh, you're living in Vancouver. Yeah, well, you know what? Vancouver and Toronto are very similar, similar markets. I think that in some ways, Vancouver is the leader, and then what's happening in Vancouver tends to filter into Toronto, and then what's happening to Toronto filters into Montreal. Like it does seem to kind of work from west to east, as especially so many investors are driving up the prices in both markets. So the property that we just sold in Aurora was purchased by an overseas investor, had no intention of living in it, and so they are coming back to the market, and both Vancouver and Toronto are seeing that same influence, upward pressure on the prices. So yeah, Vancouver is a terrific market. Any other questions specific to our webinars or our staging secrets? Or you will be getting a copy of this presentation, and you will also be getting our workbook, which goes along with this to reinforce. Yes, we have an empty home tax in Vancouver, and it has helped. Yeah, they're also doing the same thing in Toronto, a foreign buyer's tax too. But you know, comparatively, it's still, our real estate is still such a good bargain in the international scene. I know it's not for us. Did you know that Toronto is the 5th biggest city in North America? I did not know that until recently. There's only a few American cities that are bigger. 4, as a matter of fact, 4 American cities are bigger than Toronto. So every big city has some of the same issues. Anybody want to ask about the GTA market? Anybody interested in property values? Would anybody like to know anything at all? I'm wanting to make sure that this time together is as helpful as possible. What to do about ducky wallpaper? Anything? Okay, well, I will wish you a very, very good day. I'd love to follow up on any questions or requests that you have. This is a crazy market. If you live in the GTA, you are a millionaire, pretty much every one of us, because we have this amazing real estate market right now. So let me know if you'd like to know how much your home is worth. That's a great thing I can do for you. Okay, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop sharing now and wish you all a good day. And I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you. I appreciate it very much.